Hi guys, making more videos about Abundant Shire. So when it comes to Abundant Shire, I want to kind of explain just our company values. So there's going to be multiple divisions within our company. From HR, we want to make sure that we stay by the book. I have been victim of HR not investigating because they put personal problems and assumptions as well as biased beliefs in front of their own obligations, and it caused them to not help those who needed it, which caused me or other employees to try to take the lead, and it caused it to be a war within when it was meant to just develop a community. So I have worked on developing communities wherever I worked, whether it meant to become the follower before the leader or the leader and then the follower. I have helped regrow the metrics without being paid. I mean, for me, this is my type of joy. I like puzzles and always never-ending riddles. I'm always looking for that revolving door that gives me different types of problems to fix, which is why Abundant Shire just seems like it's the perfect fit for me. I want it to start as a nonprofit, but it will be connected to definitely about 5 to 6 for-profits, companies that will help benefit in social engineering as well as developing individuals after they leave home. So I was raised on the military base, and during that time, do not get me wrong, it was so boring as a child. Everybody knew everybody, and if you got hurt or kissed a boy, the whole neighborhood knew. It's like living in a small town. But I have to say it was safe. Before leaving the military base, I never dealt with child sex slavery or adults trying to sleep with children. I didn't deal with the abuse or realize the abuse that was within the military until afterwards. I didn't hear about rapes that were unsolved until I left the military base. And of course, until I got older, because as I got older, my feed in Google and other sites that promoted certain content for me informed me of this stuff. And it wasn't changing my political views, it was news. I want Abundant Shire to be part of what I think many social media sites are trying to do, and not just expose different lifestyles to people who are not aware of what's around them, or another form of putting you in someone else's shoes, but also to give you a place to develop when you hit that moment where you finally go through what somebody else has gone through, but you judge them. I see too much pettiness right now in the corporate world as well as in everyday lives. And this is the sad part. Like I was saying, it's as simple as we're trying to do what HR isn't doing, and then it becomes a war of, oh, now you're pointing fingers, and it's like, no, you're not doing your job, so we thought we'd take your role, and we're not even getting paid for it, which really sucks for the employee because it becomes a battleground after that. There wouldn't be so many complaints about big tech companies or just companies in general if we had another form to develop. Would you have time to hate someone if you were being developed? Would you have time to worry what's on someone else's plate if you were being developed? Would you complain about your country and community if you knew that your next door neighbor is giving free pears because she doesn't eat all the pears that she grows in her, backyard garden and trees? There's so many facts that are not being presented to individuals, which helps them fall deeper into a depression of anger, hate, and judgment. And this judgment, anger, and hate only divides a community. And then we look for somebody to blame. And instead of just fixing our own life, we destroy our own, and then we spill onto the streets. We spill onto the internet. Just hateful content and just hatefulness that I'm seeing. Some people think if they go to a church, they'll be saved and it will be solved. And no, it's just a little box where those individuals decided to better themselves. It's the same thing for people who don't go to religion but find a group that's looking to grow instead of just sit here and be like, this is all that's wrong with the community, but doesn't provide any solution or develop it. Period. At all. Like, they just look the other way. For me, I'm guilty of all the above, but that's why I want to make Abundant Shire. I know what I didn't get as an individual and how what I didn't get and I applied to others benefited others. But when I took it away from them, I watched them fall apart because I had to move on with my own life. I am the girl who loves to be needed. you know they used to make a joke. There's a YouTuber, she calls it, you're a care bear. You just like to care for other people. We're sensitive, we care about certain things, we don't miss sensitivity, we are sensitivity. I really want our values to show when it comes to abundance, and just going over a few of them. When it comes to HR, it's just really important to me, I would say, to stay by our values. Mental strength. Mental strength is being analytical. To be analytical is to learn to listen with your eyes and your ears. Uh, Perseverance. When you are being analytical, you have to force yourself to really listen and to pay attention and to not be biased and to run off rumor or feeling. Psychology. We want to make sure that we have actually accredited psychologists helping our students, helping our employers, helping our faculty, helping our customers. Whether it's nonprofit or not, we need these values to be the core when working on developing something that can change an individual's life. How we market ourselves, it needs to be familiar. It really needs to be familiar. So for marketing, the first value would be familiarity. And excuse me, I'm tripping over my words, but if one does not feel that they can connect to what you are trying to offer them, if you do not speak in a way that they can understand, whether that is simpling the text or using a bigger, more colorful vocabulary. Second is a characteristic. I believe how you present yourself is how your words will be taken. We can give you a script and tell you how you should help the homeless, but they are going to find fault in you if they cannot trust or understand what it is you stand for, what your character, um, I guess, thrives off of, and your values. And then also, when it comes to just marketing ourselves, we also want to do and be innate. We want to make sure that we are a nonprofit that markets almost like a for-profit. I care so much about individuals, but I care not to prove how much I care. I think people limit themselves when they do not try to add for-profit and nonprofit together. I don't really want to focus on getting my funds from just the government. The government is fine. I'd be happy to work with the government, but I do not want my company to start off with government funding. I want it to start with other companies because I want to use what they have. There are certain companies where their values are just right where I'm headed. And some of them are the reason Abundant Shire was invented. Now, in 2017, I would go on Whisper and Quora, and on Quora, I would just help people with relationship advice. On Whisper, I would post positive quotes just so people would feel like, there's somebody who actually cares about you. For me, the idea was I'm giving back to my community by reminding them that there is love in the world. And then I got a wake up call. Somebody said all I do is talk. I'm a justice warrior. I wasn't even fighting against the government. I was literally just giving people advice on what should I do if my boyfriend did this to me? Or what should I do if I like a girl but I don't know how to talk to her? And somehow it turned into an argument online. I was harassed and bullied online for just being a Care Bear. Abundant Shire is my way of just hugging those who attacked me, because the only reason they end up like that is because something happened to them and they didn't get the help they needed. Whether it was actually like they needed a psychiatrist or they just needed anger issues, or maybe they needed justice for a court case they lost. I don't know. But I'm seeing a lot of that. And I'm trying to be careful because it almost made me homeless. They didn't go as far as just hacking me, but they tried to ruin my reputation. It was pretty bad. For Abundance Shire, this is what I needed when I went through bullying. And this is also things I provided for individuals in my own unique way since I was a kid. And I watched them blossom. And some of it is techniques I picked up from other individuals who helped me blossom. The streets have been giving me knowledge since I was a kid. I've been around individuals who are successful and non-successful in their marriages and in their careers. Their failures are my stepping stones. They're the reason why I didn't fail in that specific genre, if you will say. Everything I do right is either a lesson I was taught very young, or I watched somebody plummet in their social life and their marriage and whatnot. And I watched how some of them pulled themselves together and others blamed the world on their problems and their bad choices, whether it be bad choices in men because their mom and daddy didn't have the birds and the bees conversation with them, or just didn't teach them about love because their marriage itself was a broken, cracked mirror, if you will say. I'm watching people blame their president for choices they made. Don't get me wrong, manipulation is real, abuse is real, but the problem is there's too much feeds on narcissism, on certain type of disorders, psychopaths versus sociopaths. These things are starting to become popular online. They are inventing gender wars. They are inventing slavery. They are a mental slavery. They are inventing a civil war that is not happening, but is going to if they keep pumping into our world their negativity. And this is where I'm saying, if you do not fix yourself, people who know how to cut and paste will make a meme about a man raped me. And it's not even a meme anymore. It's literally just negative content being posted everywhere. But it's a meme. No, this is their way of self-destructing on the internet and taking you down with them. These people need psychological help, but they also need something that's going to meet them and can become a hobby or a career path or a self-development. They need more than just a slap on the wrist or to be told, no, you're wrong. They need to actually be redeveloped, reborn. It's like being a reborn Christian, born again Christian, excuse me. um, you kind of learn the faith, you go by the faith, you follow the faith, and then something happens and you decide, I want to go see what it's like to be whatever the world has. I want to have sex. I want to have one night stands, or I want to do drugs, or I want to explore the world if it's not about sex and drugs and rock and roll. Um, and from there, they later on come back and become born again Christians. They, decide they come back to their faith and they see the world and they choose their faith again. And that's what it's like with individuals who lose their hope and faith in the world. They go through this moment of self-destructive behavior. They become destructive, and they break on others, and they push their failures on others, and then they try to make others fail or hurt people. They become the abusers, and it's disgusting. And what happens is those individuals who become abusers start abusing individuals who did not abuse them. So then again, they start another form. Now they have abused an innocent who now becomes a villain because they were called racist when they weren't racist, so now they're racist. They were called something that they weren't, so now they feel that they need to defend themselves. The broken leaking on others creates another form of disorders, broken societies, and broken homes. The whole tale of you are who you hang out with, it's so true, because toxic people will ruin your life and they will ruin your community. But the point is not to demonize them. We need to create a form that's fun for the individuals who are just starting to see the crack and who have been completely broken by whether it be unjust behaviors or abuse at young age or within their household, or because of disasters that happened in their own lives. This is what happens when they create destruction in others' lives. They create a domino effect. People are like, why do I feel like I'm being judged on if I'm racist? Why do I feel like I'm being judged on? Because you either prove them to be right, or the broken are trying to find somebody who they think is a weaker victim or weaker individual to slash and abuse. This is the problem with our world. Individuals start to push their it's like they live in a cycle where the abuse keeps happening to them because they don't want to leave it, because they don't want to get psychological help, or because they cannot afford to get psychological help. And that's a whole nother reason why I want to make Abundant Shire as well. If we don't create a system that offers psychological game, psychological development, psychological social engineering, we will keep seeing this happen, and it's going to get worse. You're seeing rows of homelessness. Soon it's going to become, you're going to see crime. I mean, your neighborhoods are going to be trashed. There's going to be the wasteland versus the non. And if we don't start pulling together and stop seeing each other as competition, it's only going to get worse. This is why I want to create Abundant Shire. I only think that we will make a breakthrough when we stop trying to destroy others who either try to take on the role of somebody who's not doing their job, or allowing people not to do their job and then watching our company fall apart. It's just, this has happened to me. I mean, it's even gone to explaining to someone what they are. I had a friend who was biracial. She did not want to accept that she was black. When I asked other people how to help her, I was belittled and attacked because they thought it was jealousy. But I knew she had a mental hate for herself. she actually did not want to be black. She only wanted to be what she was half. And it was kind of sad. I watched her destroy her relationships, get into sexual activity because she wanted to be desirable. She didn't want to be black because she thought them to be ugly and to be trashy. And she didn't want to say it out loud until she said it to me because she thought I wouldn't be offended. I guess she didn't consider me a black girl. Um, but this is what I'm talking about. When people don't do their jobs, someone else is raising their child. Someone else is gonna call them out. And then it turns into a bigger problem and sometimes a bigger debate. And then somebody blows it up and a domino effect happens. You start leaking onto the world. I'm just using that example to be simple. I mean, you can do the same thing with politics. Don't divorce your husband because he's a Republican and you're a Democrat. Like, nobody cares. You know? It's getting to the point where people are just self-destructing, and when people call their self-destruction behavior out, they are being abused, belittled, and attacked. And I want to create Abundant Shire because they don't need you to hate them. They don't need you to villainize them. You need to, like, talk to people. My friend doesn't need just me to help her. She needs other biracial people to help her understand you don't have to choose a side. You're black and this. But you get the best of both worlds. You get to learn traditions of both. You get to promote both. You get to benefit from both. And it's just, but she needs that from also other mixed individuals, not just from the black side, not just from the white side. She needs both. She needs to feel comfortable in her own skin. And that is why so many of us are self-destructing. We do not have self-respect. We do not have control of our lives. And individuals will take advantage of you if that is not in place.